You throw a fast, quick ball inside to the receiver so he can come back in the end zone and get it. Horrible pass, and Sark sits there and defends this kid every single time. Number one, they need to get rid of him. Number two, hopefully he goes pro. He's not going to get drafted. For third round, second round, that's it.
He's not going to get drafted, but he's going to get drafted in the second round.
I mean, first round. He thinks he's going late first round. He's out of his mind. I hope he goes. Him and Sark are the kiss of death for Texas, and wait till next year. Good God.
Coming to you live from their new studio in San Antonio, Texas. It's the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast. Now here are your hosts, Dylan and Turner.
How you doing over there, buddy?
I'm devastated. If we could have just lost in normal fashion like a normal team, it wouldn't be so fucking brutal today, but we had to pull a Texas and do Texas things. We had to get down to the fucking 11-yard line and have 4 shots at the end zone and still not get it. I mean, I literally turned on a light in the room because of my dead dog, and I told her to bring us back when they had the ball, and then the Washington running back got hurt.
Yeah.
They had to call a timeout. They ran into the fucking kicker, kick catch interference. I mean, it was a comedy of errors by Washington, and we get down to the 11, and then motherfucking Quinn Ewers and Steve Sarkisian. What was the call? First of all, and I know you said it during the game.
I was laughing.
What was the call on first down?
I don't know, but let's go ahead and get back. Let's talk of the important point here. Wolfie almost brought the Longhorns back. She broke the Washington, literally right when you turn the light on, the Washington's running back's leg broke. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And then I thought they go to 25 seconds and continue to run the clock. Nope, the clock stopped completely. It's the only thing that kept Texas in the game. And then Numbnuts runs into the fucking return man. And I'm like, oh, my God, they're going to – like, in college football with that much time, it's almost like unless you turn the ball over or take a sack, you're guaranteed to get, like, some chances at the end zone, pretty much. Like, it's just going to happen. And so I got down there, and then, Sark throwing that little motion in the man back to the quarterback and then throwing, like, a little wheel route that I don't know what – or it wasn't even really that. It was just a little like pass to the flat. Yeah.
We had a first
mind-boggling.
We had a 1st and 10 at the 11, and we got 2 shots at the end zone, and only one of them was a catchable ball. That's how crazy that was. When we got down to the 15, as down as I was like, we're gonna score. I kept saying, we're gonna score. This is gonna happen, because in that moment, I was listening to SVP at the end of the game, and he was like talking to Herb Street, and he said it just felt like Texas was going to score, because usually when that happens and a team's on their heels and all these things have gone wrong, not to mention the fact that Washington's secondary has been atrocious all year, and you're having to throw at the end zone, then you add to insult another thing that we didn't even mention. In the last, we had 2 or 3 plays where their number 1 corner wasn't even in the game. He got hurt on that play right after Texas got it down to the 28 on the Whittington throw. Instead of spiking it, which was stupid, by the way, and cost them 4 or 5 seconds, and they couldn't get a good play call in, he threw a bomb into the end zone, and Muhammad, their best corner, got hit in the head and had to come out for 3 or 4 plays. And that we basically have now a depleted secondary, a bad secondary, and we have plenty of shots, and we don't even get shots at the end zone. He has the guy out of the game, and he throws the little screen pass or swing pass, whatever you want to call it. I mean, not to mention, if the guy gets tackled in bounds there, the game is over. That's the only other thing. What is your thinking there? He's going to score on that play?
I think that he figured he was going to get 5 or 6 easy yards and then get out of bounds and then give yourself 3 more shots from a little bit closer to the end zone. I don't know why he did it. That's the only thing I can think of. Obviously, he's not thinking he's going to score on that play. So I guess that was his thinking. Yeah, obviously don't agree with it there. Yeah, it seemed like Texas was going to get down there and score. I mean, that's typically what happens. Even in that Alabama game, Alabama-Michigan, we'll get to it. But when they got the 4th and 2 on kind of that, blown coverage, no one took the running back out of the backfield, you just figured out, well, Michigan's going to score now. It just seems to always happen that way. You definitely thought Texas was going to score down there. Too bad the pass wasn't better on the 4th down play. But, yeah, don't really like the first down play call, and you would hope that one of those really good Texas receivers could make a play on that bad secondary. So it was unfortunate.
It was brutal, and Quinn Ewers was horrific most of the night till the end of the game. The first half, he was 9 of 18 for 97 yards. I mean, look, I'm biased towards my teams. That's a true statement. However, early in the year, I liked Michael Penix. I really did. I've always liked him. I liked him when he was at Indiana. But then I watched him play in that Oregon game, and I just didn't like what I saw. And then I didn't like what I saw in the game after, and the game after, and the game after. He just didn't look like he was that great. But I will hand it to him last night. He was throwing some really good balls. He completely outplayed Quinn Ewers. They were the better team for most of the night. That's the truth of the matter. The fact is, Texas had a better defense going in, but Washington's defense made some plays. They forced 2 big fumbles. That turned the game, too. Texas was going down to score and cut it to 6 much earlier than 9 minutes to go. There was like 14 or 13 minutes to go in the game, and Jalen Blue goes down and fumbles the ball, literally just drops the ball. I mean, it was just...
That was the big one to me. I mean, I think if they score there, it's probably... At that point, with Washington taking their foot off the gas, it's a 50-50 game from that point if they score.
It is.
Cut it to 6. Yeah, I don't know how you just dropped the ball there, but he did. So it wasn't.
It was ridiculous.
It wasn't pretty, and it was funny because when you're watching the play from the camera angle, you thought he was either down or you just didn't see him fumble at all. But then as soon as, like, both Washington players are screaming, pointing the other way, I was like, I told your dad, I told Big Dog in there, I was like, I think he fumbled that. And he was like, no way. And then it shows the other angle, and he just dropped the ball. Like, and I mean, it was clear as day. It wasn't even close to being down. It was just, ball came out. And you made an interesting point about the recovery there because originally I saw that linebacker or whatever, the white Washington get jumped on the ball. I don't know what number he was. And he had it for like a brief second, but probably not long enough to, be possession and to, be granted possession of it.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it like right away, but you were watching the play further. And then there's like a scrum for the ball, and the ball's just sitting there. And then about 2 or 3 seconds later, Washington guy like comes and just pulls it out of the pile and grabs it. So I don't know. I'm with you. I don't know if that's like a super clear recovery. Obviously, the officials thought it was, and that's kind of ticky-tacky stuff looking at it, that. But it was a good point that you made watching it. I was like, you're right. There wasn't like an immediate clear recovery.
There wasn't. That's the rule. It's got to be an immediate clear recovery, and there wasn't. There was. And here's the thing: when the guy pulled it out, there really wasn't a view of like, did somebody already have possession? That was my issue with it. It's like, okay, you have like 3 guys with their hands around it. You can't tell. There's people laying on the ball. Does somebody have it? Does somebody not? And then the guy comes in. Somebody might have had the ball, and he comes in and rips it out. It doesn't necessarily mean that somebody didn't have it, and I just didn't like that they, it was a pretty quick review. They, went in, looked at it, they're like, okay, obviously it's a fumble, and it kind of felt like, to me, it's like, okay, we fucked up because it was such an obvious fumble that they didn't call it a fumble on the field, and then they're like, well, if that played out, Washington would have got the ball regardless.
Well, that was the weird thing about it is, they blew it dead right away, like that it wasn't a fumble, they stopped the play. And I don't think anybody had it under the pile, per se, when the guy came in and got it. It looked pretty simple that no one had it when he grabbed it, but it technically shouldn't matter because they ruled it not a fumble on the field, although it was a fumble, obviously. And then it took, it seems like at least 3 to 4 seconds after the fact, after they already blew it dead, that he goes in and gets it.
I just don't know how that's immediate and clear.
In the NFL, I've seen that happen before where it's like, the other team definitely gets the ball, but it's not an immediate recovery.
Right.
So, I don't know. That kind of sucked for Texas. I don't know if I could necessarily say that was a call that went against them, but obviously the penalties, there was several more penalties called on Texas in the game than Washington. So
yeah, it did not seem like it was. It felt very lopsided in that. I also will say, and I think we're going to get to this when we talk about the preview of the national title, but as good as Penix, looked in some of those throws, I thought that if Texas lost, that they were going to get exploited in the secondary. And yes, Washington threw all over them. Penix had 430 yards passing. However, a lot of their big plays in the game, when you look at it, they were very, they were like an inch or 2 away from being knocked down. Like a lot of the plays had good coverage, and the defender just didn't get his head around and knock the ball down. Like, I'm talking like there was a 70-yard or 60-yard one down the middle where literally, I believe it was number 6 for the Longhorns, doesn't turn around, or he puts his hand up and tries to hit the guy's arms, and it misses him by you can't even see the difference between his hand and the ball. There was another one where on a touchdown, the Texas defender actually tips the ball. It goes off of the defender's hands, off of the receiver's hands, and then he catches it in the end zone. So it was like every bounce was going Washington's way.
Yeah, that was the real lucky one there, the double bounce one. I will say that on the other throws, great throws, whatever, you are right that the Texas defenders, I would say, actually, weirdly enough, even though they got kind of torched, did an admirable job, but they got to get their head back around and make a play. They're running with these receivers, and I mean, at the last second at least put a hand up or something. It was nothing. They're just running with the guy.
Yeah.
And Penix was throwing dimes, but, I give credit to Washington in the fact that, look, when you have a distinctive advantage on the outside with receivers, just throw it up and let them make a play. That's what they did. I mean, and credit to them for making those plays. Like I said, I wish the Texas DBs could have got their head back around and, maybe picked one of those passes off, because literally, you're right. If he is turned around, he's got at least a 50-50 chance of the ball. But Washington said, look, we can't turn around and just run the ball against Texas. It's not going to work. But we do have an advantage on the outside, and these guys are better than their cornerbacks. So we're just going to throw it up, and it worked. I don't know why more teams don't do that when they have an advantage on the outside, So,
yeah. I mean, they have
it's
three.
kind of like when we watched that, that backup quarterback for USC come in and play against Louisville. They're just throwing the ball all over the yard because the receivers, are much better than the defensive backs, and they were killing them. So
no, I will say in college, it's much different because cornerbacks and DBs for the most part just aren't that elite, and they're not that polished. And so, I remember back a couple years ago when Caleb Williams came in for Spencer Rattler in that OU-Texas Red River rivalry, and OU was down, and literally I was so frustrated because it was the same type of thing. Like, Caleb Williams was literally just throwing jump balls to his receivers, and they were catching it, and Texas couldn't get their head around and turn the ball, knock the ball down, or get an interception, because in college it's just hard to do that. They're just not polished on the outside like they are in the NFL. Much, much different. And that's what Washington did. They averaged 11 yards per pass in the game, and they were hitting explosives all night long. Even on the last drive, before, or I guess it was the second to last drive for Washington, where essentially they were up by 6, and it was a third down and 4 or 5, and Texas has a chance to get off the field and get the ball back with 4 minutes to go. And at that point, if they get the ball back with 5 or 4 minutes to go, they're only down 6. And I think it was a wheel rat on the outside, and they just threw the ball up. I mean, and knocked. That's all game long. It came down to that type of thing, and it worked. And I thought Texas at the end. That's what I thought Texas did wrong. At the end, like I said, there was one catchable ball, and it was going to be really tough to catch. To me, it was the last ball. The other 3, one was too far out of bounds. The other one, he literally threw away the second to last play, and it hit. Actually, the guy caught it with the sideline ball boy.
Save 1 second.
He caught it with 1 second and stopped the clock.
Thought it was going to be another Texas-Nebraska ending.
That's exactly how it felt, where we ended up winning the game. We hit the ground with 1 second. Good old Colt McCoy. But, at that point, you have guys like A.D. Mitchell's a 6'4" receiver. He just went up and mossed somebody on the previous couple drives. Just throw it up and let him have a chance at it. And then I want to say one more thing, and if you want to add anything before we move on, the last play of the game was so frustrating to me because I understand, I go back and look at it. Quinn was throwing with a little bit of anticipation. I understand that, but it wasn't like the pocket was massively collapsing at the moment. But if he throws that ball, a foot and a half lower, or he just throws a dart in there, like a comeback, it seemed like it was kind of a comeback route in a way. The Washington defender played behind the whole way, I guess, so he could maybe break on the ball, which is what he did. But if Quinn lasers one in there, that's a touchdown. I mean, he was open. It was A.D. Mitchell. He was open. If he throws a lower ball in there, there's a very, very good chance that is a touchdown, and the game is over. Texas wins on the final play. He throws a lob to the outside, and it's just like you gave the DB so much time to break on the ball. Nobody's ever calling pass interference there, but he did launch himself with his left hand over to knock the ball down. That's never getting called there. I understand that. But Quinn was bad all night, and it came down to Quinn and Sark, and both of them shit their pants. And I said, I think Texas is going to win, But the one way they lose, and I repeated this last night, was if Sark throws up on himself and if Quinn Ewers throws up on himself. And both things happen. Both things happen. You add in there 2 fumbles, and the result is you lose the game to a Washington team that, to me, they were the better team last night. That was clear. I don't think they're the better football team if you play them if they play 10 times. Kalen DeBoer outcoached Sark. Michael Penix outplayed Quinn Ewers, and they won the game because of that.
Yep. I mean, I agree. I would agree with all those things. I think if you played like we always say, a 7-game series like they do in the NBA or something like that, I think Texas would probably prevail. But, I mean, I don't know. Washington, give them all the credit. Receivers made plays. And like they call those 50-50 balls, but when you're throwing up balls to college receivers against college DBs, they're more like 80-20 balls. And not to mention, you're 10 times more likely to get interference on the defense than you are on the offense. So it's just, that's what they knew they could exploit. They did. Credit to them, won the game, and that's,
I mean, on the biggest play on the final drive, Texas threw a bomb to Jordan Whittington, and it was just the exact same type of thing. Throw up a one-on-one ball, and he went and made a play. He actually pushed off on the play, and they didn't call it because they're not going to call it there. So it's like, just do that. They have Jordan Whittington 6'5". They have A.D. Mitchell 6'4". It just made no sense.
And I think the last play to Mitchell in the end zone there was essentially like, we're here. We're going to throw like a fade up to our best player, a jump ball, if you will. And that's why Quinn put too much air under it. It was never one of those plays, in my opinion, which you look at it, of course. If he throws a dart to the pylon, it's a touchdown there. But it was always like, hey, I'm throwing a jump ball to you. It's going to be one-on-one. Go make a play. And that's what happened. He obviously threw it.
He threw it too wide.
He threw it wide right instead of, he had to focus on keeping his feet in and, battling with the defensive back. Like you said, he jumped on his shoulder. Never going to call it in that situation. So credit to him for making a play. And Texas back to the drawing board. It'll be interesting to see if I think most Texas fans are hoping Ewers leaves and Arch just steps in there.
Yes.
I assume that's where your stance on it is.
That is my stance. Even if
we'll see.
I think probably we would be worse next year. But in the long run, we're going to be better because, obviously you have a guy who's going to be your third-year starter who's played in won a Big 12 championship, played in a college football playoff. He's probably going to be better than Arch Manning. But to me, you start him, hopefully Quinn leaves. Arch gets to have 1 year of development, and by his second year, now we're a contender again. And then you never know. Like, this is a different era, and I understand we've talked about how Arch has come from, a much lower level of competition. But this is a different era where it's not unrealistic that a freshman could come in, really do a good job, and especially now with the 12-team playoff, be in that playoff at the end of the year. Texas has enough talent around them. I don't know exactly how many guys we're losing to the NFL, and I know we haven't lost too many to the portal who have been key pieces, but I do hope that.
I think they should just, if they think there's any chance that Arch is going to transfer. If they do, they'll have a feeling on it. They'll know essentially. Right. Then you just, it's time to move on and go to Arch. If Arch does say, "Hey, look, I'm staying, and I really don't mind sitting behind him another year," which could be the case. I mean, listen, dude, he's being groomed by the Manning brothers,
right.
So they're gonna have an idea. It's already set in stone what it is. So trust me, the plan is if Cam, they already have a plan. If Cam's coming back, we're transferring, or if you're fine sitting there, I mean. It's already been decided, so we'll see what happens. So they'll let Texas know, too. I'm pretty sure they'll be up front with them, and they'll say, Sark, look, if you want to keep him, he needs to start next year.
Right.
And it's kind of one of those situations. So, and especially with the 12-team playoff next year, I think you just go ahead and go with Arch anyway and hope to get in it. And,
right.
You're probably not going to win the national championship next year anyway. So why not? It's your first year in the SEC. They have to go to Michigan, right? Next year.
They have to go to Michigan.
Second week of the year.
And they play. Is it Alabama too? No, I don't think they play Alabama.
Whatever. But hopefully 2 losses and they sneak into the playoffs. But that's probably the goal.
I agree. But we'll move on real quick to the Rose Bowl as well. And, I mean, really, we talked about this beforehand. These were the best 2 college football playoff games that we've seen, I think, at least in combination. Yeah. 2 fantastic finishes. Essentially, both of them came down to the final play of the game. We had a tale of 2 halves in the Rose Bowl. We both talked about this, and I think we were both pretty accurate in our breakdown, right? Like you said, you thought that no matter how much Michigan was ahead, that Alabama would make adjustments at halftime, and you thought that they would come out and win the game because of that. That's what they didn't win, but they came out and made adjustments and damn near did win. Then you have, I said I thought Michigan was the better team. I think they were the better team for most of the game. I think when you look at it, Michigan, to me, shot themselves in the foot too many times in the first half, and that's why this game was only 3 at halftime. You had, obviously, the first play of the game was an interception, although it got called back.
Yeah, lucky break for Michigan there, actually. I always forget about that. But, yeah, they turned that over in the
very
score.
Fortunate, right? So then they punt. They sack Miller a couple times. Looks like, oh, man, this is going to be a long day for Alabama. And then they have a true freshman back there, muff the punt, right? And then Alabama, they only scored 2 touchdowns the entirety of the game, and one of them came there on a short field on a big play from outside the 25-yard line. So, again, Michigan dominated the first half. They outgained them by over 100 yards in the first half, but they led by just 3 after, even though their second touchdown put them up 13-10. Then they dropped. There was a bad snap on the extra point. I mean, it was just a comedy of errors. And then we go to the second half. And it's the second half that's largely dominated by Alabama. I think you mentioned to me that before the final drive for Michigan, that Alabama had held Michigan's offense to
44 yards.
44 yards,
drive, yeah.
Right. So it was just it was a great adjustments by Saban in the locker room. I think Michigan got a little bit conservative, thinking they were just going to be able to run the ball and throw on third down and win the game. It was no points were scored in the third quarter, but Alabama was
Bama scored. So Bama scored with 3 towards the end. 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Touchdown.
They had 0 points in the third quarter, according to the box score.
I looked at it 10 minutes ago.
According to the box score, nobody scored in the third quarter. Alabama scored a touchdown with 14:30 to go in the fourth quarter.
Oh, okay. So maybe it was just when the drive started for Alabama.
Yeah, I think that was when the drive started.
That's probably what it was.
Because Jason McClellan scored on a 3-yard run with 14:30 to go in the fourth quarter, and then again, right there, I said it, my dad said it. Now we're overreactors, but we're both like, that might be game right there. Like, it just felt like they had all the momentum, and Michigan's offense had done nothing to this point. They added on a field goal after really, I forgot, Michigan got a huge break because Jalen Milroe fumbled the ball inside their own territory.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan has a big play following it, and then Sharon Moore, speaking of throwing up all over themselves, calls a flea flicker and damn near a fumble on the play, loses 5 yards, knocks them, kind of out of field goal range. They end up missing a 47-yard field goal. Alabama goes down, tacks on the extra kick, but it came down to one drive. Right? And we came down to a 4th down and 2, and like you said, Michigan and Harbaugh made the decision to go for it. If they punt the ball there, I think they lose the game.
Oh, for sure.
And
you gotta go for it.
Yeah, and Bama busted coverage on it, but it was a good call. They had motion, and they had the running back slip out into the flat. No one covered him. Blake Corum took it down the sideline for 37 yards. There was a block in the back on the play, but it still was a first down and a big gain. And then Michigan goes down and scores with a minute 50 to go. We end up going to overtime. How about, though, before we talk about overtime, how about that muff punt by Michigan in the last play? How crazy was that?
Yeah, sitting a freshman back there to field that, and he fielded the ball inside the 10 is just a wild move. I mean, I get that the other kid muffed the punt earlier, but if you're Harbaugh, you can come out, he lined up to come out to the punt and had one guy back there. Just especially if you tell him if the ball – the old Cardinal sin rule, if your feet are on the 10, the ball's over your head, you let it go.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't have a freshman back there fielding a punt to go to the national championship game in the playoffs, catching it, what was it, like the 7-yard line when it hit him and then almost bounced in the end zone, right?
It did bounce into the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, so you gotta just, anyway.
Yeah, why are you fielding the ball
go.
at all?
I don't know why you're fielding that ball at all. It was a good call on 4th and 2. Running back, Corum, it's Corum.
Yeah.
He had a great end of the game there, good overtime runs. Like I told you off air before, I mean, once Michigan got it into overtime, it's a huge advantage for them. They don't have to play their safeties near as deep. The field's condensed. It's just so much easier for them to stop Alabama. They don't have to honor a deep ball anymore, so it's just trouble for Bama. I think that safety made that tackle on Milroe when it looked like he could score, and they were 1-on-1, and he got him at like the 8-yard line, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that was the tackle of the game there that saved the game for Michigan. And then once it got inside the 8, I don't know if I said it out loud, but it's like I don't think it's tough for them to put the ball in the end zone from the 8-yard line. So
Yeah, and then they added it.
They ran it on first, right, and they lost a few yards on second.
Right, they ran it for no gain to McClellan on first.
They ran like a weird little toss. I mean, I feel bad for Tommy Reese in a sense because he really did have a good game plan in the second half after doing nothing in the first. Michigan dominated him. He knew that he had to get Milroe more involved running the ball. He did that. And then, you said you saw Saban's interview where they changed the play like 3 different times and ultimately end up with the quarterback power, which I hate because, you don't put all your eggs in one quarterback power to end the game. If you throw the ball there, even if you don't like Milroe's ability to throw really, you have to get him outside the pocket on the run where he can turn it up and run, or you can throw it, or you can get a pass interference or something. Just one run right up the gut from the 3-yard line is a very interesting decision. I don't think it fooled anybody. Like, if I'm Michigan, that's literally what I'm playing for.
Yeah.
Because especially up 7, you say, hey, look, we're going to just play man on the outside. We're going to make sure that if you do try to run something with the quarterback or up the middle, you're not going to get in, So
that's what they did a lot of the game, too. And I know Alabama had much better success running the ball in the second half than they did early on. But, I mean, you just looked at the beginning of the game when it just looked like the Michigan front, which is what I thought was going to happen. I thought the Michigan front was going to dominate Alabama's offensive line. They sacked him 5 times in the first half. I think they might have only sacked him once or twice in the second half. I think it was 7 total.
It was just shorter throws, quarterback runs, and, they adjusted. Saban's the best in the business at in-game changes. At halftime, I mean, that's what he did. It was a tale of 2 halves. Michigan had that final drive, won the game. But, credit Michigan. They came in with a better game plan to start. And like we said, and I've said kind of all along, I think when you look at it on paper, Michigan's a better team. And I have zero doubts about that after watching the game, too. But, you go into halftime, and, with it being only 3 points at halftime, I was thinking to myself, this is just a classic game that Alabama ends up winning.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Had every chance to do it. I mean, they went up by 7. Credit Michigan for scoring on that last drive. They made some big plays. But, Harbaugh got thoroughly outcoached in that second half, and lucky for him that they got the 4th and 2, because if they didn't, the talking points all day would be Michigan's held the 50 yards in the second half after dominating the first, and it was all the adjustments that did that because nothing changed. The players were the exact same. Michigan's better. So, Saban did it with an inferior team and still almost ended up winning the game. So,
yeah, I agree, but credit to Michigan for finding a way to win, which they did, pulled it out in overtime. Blake Corum scored the go-ahead touchdown. I know they gave the MVP to J.J. McCarthy. I didn't think he was all that great all night. I thought the best player for Michigan offensively was Blake Corum. He had 156 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns, including the go-ahead one in overtime. But speaking of better teams, do you believe, as we move forward to this national championship preview, is Michigan still the better team on paper than Washington going into this matchup, and who do you like to win it?
Yeah, I mean, I think Michigan should just dominate the line of scrimmage. It'll be interesting. I think you're going to see a very, very similar game plan that Michigan had against Alabama. Play safeties deep, play a lot of quarters coverage, and keep everything underneath from Washington.
Right.
Because they just don't want to get beat by the big plays. And obviously Penix is capable of making the intermediate throws but Washington is not going to be able to turn around and hand the ball off against Michigan. So I think it's going to be the exact same, theory of keeping everything underneath. And frankly, if you looked at how well Texas ran the ball against Washington, which is bizarre, they didn't stick to it more.
That's great. I forgot we didn't talk about that.
They were popping off like 8. I don't know what it was, but I'd be willing to bet it was like 8 yards a carry throughout the game, if not more.
If you factor out the 1 yard touchdown runs and the sacks, it would have been 9 yards per carry.
Yeah. So that's Michigan's just going to pound the rock on them, and they're not going to be able to stop Michigan from running the ball.
Right.
Now, if those receivers can make big plays again, we'll see. But yeah, no, I think Michigan will win the game. And I know you were guessing the line on that game would be 7. I was thinking maybe like 6.5.
I changed my tone to 6.
Yeah,
it opened 4. It opened 4.5.
Okay, it'll get up to 6.
It's going to get up to 6. It's going to get bet up, and Michigan will end up closing at 6 or 6.5. I think we both thought that around that area. They're the better team by about 6 points. I mean, I think if you put it at 4.5, you're basically saying Michigan and Texas are equal, which I just disagree with. I don't think Michigan would be a half-point favorite against Texas on a neutral field. I think they'd be a 2 or 3 point favorite. But looking at the matchup, I agree with you. I think the one thing to me in why I like Michigan, and look, I'm rooting for Michigan. Maybe I'm sour from the Texas loss last night, but I like Michigan. I'm not a Michigan fan, but I like Michigan, and I want Harbaugh to win a championship. They've been here, this is the third time there. I do think he's leaving after this, win or lose. Especially after watching his press conference last night when they asked him,
Did he wish everybody a happy new year?
No,
at
but
the
he
press
did.
Conference again.
He did wish.
Fucking snake oil salesman, Jim Harbaugh.
He wished.
Before we get going here, just want to wish everybody happy new year. All right, nobody's got it better than us. Fuck Jim Harbaugh.
He's hilarious, dude. No, they said they asked him like, Jim, there's a lot of talk about your future, everything. You coming back? He goes, you know what? I'm just looking forward to a great plane ride back home to Ann Arbor, Michigan. And that was the only thing he would say about it. And J.J. McCarthy's over there laughing and clapping. But I do think he's gone after this. Regardless, I think the difference between Texas and Michigan, there's a multitude of differences in their style. But in terms of their defenses, we talked about this early in the year. Texas, early in the year in a couple games, like against Houston, right? They're up 21-0, and they gave up 21 unanswered points to Houston and damn near lost the game. And we were talking about it on an early podcast after that game, and you said, look, Texas' defense is just as talented as Michigan's, but like you put that Houston team up against Michigan, they wouldn't score, right? Like, and that's the difference. Like, I know Washington's going to score here because they're a high-powered offense, but they're not scoring 37 points against Michigan. That's not happening. And Michigan's corners specifically are much better than Texas. We saw it in the Alabama game. Alabama has great wide receivers on the outside in Burton and Bond.
Yep.
Burton and Bond. And every jump ball we saw Milroe throw, which is the best ball he throws, they were one-on-one. I mean, they had deep safety or whatever, but it would be a ball kind of similar to a Washington one where it was a one-on-one kind of jump ball, and they would knock it down. I saw it 3 or 4 times in the game. It wasn't all game because they did play a lot of quarters, like you said, and had safeties, but that when there was one-on-one plays, those corners made plays. They ran with them the whole way, and they knocked the ball down. Yes, Washington has a little bit better receivers than Alabama, but to me, I just think Michigan's going to have a good game plan. I also think, in all honesty, that there's a bigger mismatch in coaching than I thought between Kalen DeBoer and Steve Sarkisian. So you had a month to prepare, and Kalen DeBoer torched that team. I mean, that's what happened a lot. They got out-coached a lot of the game. I don't think with a week.
The defense was just unwilling to change. It was so weird.
It was so weird.
Me of Dan Quinn. It's like, I'm just going to keep bringing forward, and this is what we're going to do. But
when they brought pressure, it worked.
Yeah, they gave Penix way too much time to throw the ball.
And so Michigan, I think, you have Kalen DeBoer now has a week to prepare for a better defense. I don't think it's going to be as successful. I think it's going to be less successful. But, this has been a wild year, and it wouldn't shock me if Washington won the game, that the line isn't 14 like Georgia and TCU last year. But you have to look at it. They said this Washington team has won more one-score games than any team in college football history the last 2 seasons. So, that is TCU of last year in that sense. Like, if Michigan came in and just ran down their throat and Washington couldn't get that deep ball going, then it could be a blowout. Also, Washington could go and win the game. Michigan's offense could stall like they did in the second half versus Alabama. Washington's defense isn't like they're bad, but they're not like horrific, right? Like they held up at times. They definitely benefited from 2 turnovers on 2 drives where Texas was moving the ball, but they held up well enough.
The secondary was holding up okay, but I just think that, they're not bad, like you said. With how physical Michigan is up front, they should be. If Texas is running for 8 to 9 yards a run, Michigan should be able to do the same thing.
I agree.
And I don't think they're going to go away from it like Texas did for whatever reason.
That was
I
so
think
idiotic.
Sark just likes. Sometimes those offensive guys, they just can't sit there and run the ball. It's like Lane Kiffin. He could run the ball for 20 yards a pop, but he's still going to throw it 3 out of 4 times.
Yeah.
Because that's just who he is. Now, Sark's not as, crazy like that, but it's just, he just can't. They can't help themselves. They have to, whatever they put in, in this month, they have to run those plays instead of just turning around to get 9 yards a carry.
The drive that they had success, all they did was run the ball. Quinn Ewers threw 1 touchdown the whole game. He didn't move. They ran all over them. It made no sense.
Yeah.
But we'll move on. Should be an interesting national championship game. I don't think anyone really expected a Michigan-Washington. I'm sure some people did, but I think it was more likely a Texas-Bama or a Texas-Michigan.
Apparently, you said there was a lot of Washington people in the comments bashing you. They thought Washington and Michigan would be there.
Michigan wins by 14.
I'll say Michigan by. I'll say Michigan by 7.
I hope it's a blowout.
They like to slow. Michigan likes to get leads and slow down. So
yeah,
I'll
that's
say
true.
7.
That's true. But let's move on a little bit to the NFL here, where we'll talk about kind of what transpired last week. I know we're a little bit late on talking about recaps, so we'll kind of talk about the future of this Week 18, all the matchups, all the playoff scenarios. Let's start with what happened a little bit last week, which we can go first to Philadelphia, where the Eagles. I mean, I told you all year, and I understand it's a product of me being a hater, but I told you all year, there's something a little bit off in Philadelphia, and there has been. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games after winning all those close games. That was going to happen, right? Like, you can't keep winning games where you're down at halftime and you're down in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
It's just not going to. It's not feasible to continue like that. So they lose a game, obviously, to Arizona, the second worst team in the league record-wise, I believe. 35-31. And again, what was the issue? Well, the offense has not been what it was last year, but they still put up 31 points. Now, that included a pick 6 early in the game by Kyler Murray. So it's not like the offense was just rolling. They had 24 offensive points. But the game came down to, once again, the Eagles' secondary and the Eagles' defense, right? The Cardinals got the ball back, I believe, after getting a stop and forcing the Eagles to a field goal. I think they got the ball back with about, 2.5 minutes or so. I think it was about 2:33 when they got the ball back, and they went 7 plays, 70 yards right down the field on the Eagles. They punched in with James Conner from 2 yards out on 2nd and goal, and they go up. And now at that point, the Eagles were kind of in desperation mode. Jalen Hurts throws a pick on the last drive, but it wasn't like they had a real shot to go get a touchdown there.
No, yeah, it was just a Hail Mary at the end there.
Right, but the bigger question or the bigger implications on this is now this shakes up the NFC standings completely, because going into last week you thought, okay, Eagles have Cardinals at home, Giants on the road. More than likely, I'd say 90% chance most people gave them, they're going to win those 2 games, and they're going to be the number 2 seed. The Lions would be the 3 seed. But with the Cowboys beating the Lions and now having that tiebreaker over the Lions for that 3 seed, and the Cowboys winning their game now because Philadelphia lost to an NFC opponent, and Dallas's last loss was to Miami, an AFC opponent, Dallas jumps Philly in the tiebreaker. If both teams win this final week, or if both teams lose this final week, Dallas will win the NFC East. Assuming Dallas wins, Dallas is a situation where if they win, not only are they the NFC East champs, they are the number 2 overall seed, and they will now host at least 1. If they win, they will host 2 playoff games, and the only game they would possibly play on the road would be if both them and San Francisco won in the divisional round and played in the NFC Championship game. Does this change anything for you in terms of Dallas's prospects of making a Super Bowl? Does it? I know it increases the chances. Is it realistic to think that it's possible now?
Oh yeah, because they're just they're completely different at home. I mean, I wouldn't want to play them at home. I know. Listen, I know the game against the Seahawks wasn't great, that Thursday night game. In this game, they could have easily blown and lost. But I mean, I would say that besides the 2-point play and all that, I know you and Big Dog talked about that, but. I mean, I would say that they probably should have won the game. Besides, that last play or whatever.
Should have won.
They were in the driver's seat. Should have won the game. Mike McCarthy's a fucking idiot for throwing the ball in the second half. He does some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
How stupid was that?
Beyond stupid.
Was
like,
that
it's
the
a
worst?
fireable offense. Like,
that's what I said.
You should get fired for doing something like that.
Yes.
And Dak should lose $1 million off his contract for actually fucking throwing it. He threw the ball out of fucking bounds, dude. Like, I want $60 million. You throw the fucking ball out of bounds on 2nd and 11 for no fucking reason.
He threw 3 times.
Here's the thing. It's one thing to throw a pass on 2nd down there if we're running a hard play action fake.
Right.
And you're rolling out. If the tight end is wide fucking open for a first down, throw it to him, the game's over. If not, get a couple yards and slide inbounds and keep the clock rolling. They drew up an actual shotgun or fucking drop back pass on 2nd down, and he threw the ball away. Like, I don't know if dude, this is the 2nd time that Mike McCarthy's done this. I don't know if he's trying to cover spreads or what the fuck he's trying to do. Didn't he do it in the one game where, like, in the Seahawks, he did the same shit?
He did the same shit in the Seahawks game.
Dude, like, Someone's got to get a hold of this fucking dude.
I mean, this isn't just like this. I mean, there's times throughout the year where he has declined personal fouls and holding calls where it's like going to be a 2nd and 26, and instead he makes it a 3rd and 10 or whatever. Like literally.
And then Micah Parsons jumps off sides.
Exactly. Or it's just like they're the most penalized team in the league. They have the most penalty yards of the team. He's the worst clock manager
I don't even
in
like
football.
the fucking Cowboys, and I get annoyed watching them. It's
I
fucking
remember-
a joke. I'm just like, I mean, I find myself rooting for them, and I don't know fucking why. I don't like anybody
'Cause of
over
me.
there. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. 2nd and let's throw it up. Let's give a guy a shot. Threw the ball out of bounds. Anyway, yes, they haven't looked near as good at home, but they are an absolute juggernaut at home, and they are still probably the average victory is still probably more than a touchdown at home.
No, it's like 14.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, at least. And so, yes, I do expect them to win at least a playoff game, probably 2 at home.
Right.
And then have to go to San Francisco, and I don't think they'll win that game.
Yeah, probably
I think it'll
not.
be that simple.
Maybe San
but it
Francisco
still
will
gives
lose.
it still gives them a much, much better chance to go into the Super Bowl because, you'd think you could win your 2 home games. Maybe not. It's the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
But if you get but they had 0 chances as 5 seed.
Right. Zero. I actually
Now
literally.
they have, I would say, they've gone from like a 0% to like a 20 to 25% chance.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think what's funny is literally going into last week, even after the Lions game, just because of Mike McCarthy, I was like, you know what? We might lose to the Bucs in the first round or whoever we play. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we could lose to the Saints or the Falcons if they won it. But the Bucs, the way they were playing now, after watching the Bucs on Sunday, I don't actually believe that anymore. But I thought that was a distinct possibility. Now we're going to get to play, whoever gets that 7 seed at home. And let's jump into that real quick.
Hopefully it's not going to be the Rams, is it?
No, the Rams are locked into the 6 seed.
Okay,
so
that's good.
the Rams are going to be the 6 seed. And
don't
so
wanna play
basically I think there might be, I don't think there's a way that I'm pretty sure they get the 6
Might
seed
end
no
up
matter
being
what.
like the Packers or something.
So right now, essentially, here's the scenario, right? So the Packers play the Bears this week because the Seahawks lost to Pittsburgh in Week 16. In Week 17. The Packers win this game, they are in. Packers win and in. They're the simplest team. They have the direct win. Now, that's not going to be an easy game. Chicago's playing some good football right now, and that's a divisional matchup. They're definitely going to try and spoil Green Bay's season. I know they've won. I think they've won 3 of the last 4. Now, if the Packers were to lose, the Seahawks, that's what the Seahawks need. The Seahawks, to get in, have to win their final week, and they have to have the Packers lose. The next team down the line would be the Saints. If the Saints get the Packers and the Seahawks to lose, and the Bucs have to beat the Panthers, which I think is more than likely, they would get the 7 seed. And then the last one would be the Vikings. The Vikings need the Saints, the Seahawks, and the Packers to all lose for them to get in. The Vikings are done.
The Vikings are fucking
Okay,
done.
the Saints are probably done too. Who do you think? Do you think the Packers are going to beat the Bears? Is it that simple? They're going to win and they're going to get in?
I don't know. The Bears are playing pretty good football right now. It's funny. I wouldn't want to play the Bears right now.
They're playing really good.
Should have beat the Browns.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
absolutely should have beat the Browns.
Absolutely.
So, and then they beat the hell out of Atlanta this week. And then, you know what? No, I'm going to actually say that, and the Bears want to spoil the party. I'm going to say the Bears.
I know.
I'm going to say the Bears go into Lambeau and beat Green Bay. I think they will, actually. The way they're playing, it's hilarious. It's like Bears fans are wild, but you never know what they want, and they were like chanting Justin Fields' name when he ran off the field this week.
Well, Justin
wanna
Fields.
keep him.
Justin Fields, when they're eliminated from playoff contention, he's a great quarterback. Yeah, he's great.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. When their games matter, he's 1-7. So that's how it works for him. The Seahawks do get to play the Cardinals the final week, although the Eagles found out that wasn't that easy of a game. It's in Arizona. I would think last week was their Super Bowl, trying to pull that upset, but it's a divisional game. They're going to give the Seahawks a game. Kyler Murray's
Arizona's been playing fine.
They're playing fine. Their defense, I was surprised their defense played well enough to beat the Eagles. That's what I thought. I thought that Murray could put up points on Philly. I didn't know that their defense could get stops against that team, but that team's just all out of sorts.
Either way, if it's Green Bay or Seattle, I think Dallas will be fine that first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
If I'm Dallas, I'd rather play Green Bay, though.
Right. Now,
Because, DK Metcalf caused some problems in that
he's
first matchup.
just a monster. Now you have, on the other side, you move down to the next matchup. The 3 seed, assuming Dallas wins, is going to be Detroit, and Detroit's going to get a really tough matchup. We've been talking about it the last couple weeks. Nobody wants to play the Rams right now, and that's who they're going to get. It's going to be Detroit and L.A. It's going to be Stafford versus old team. It's going to be Goff versus Stafford in that that trade that happened. Really good storyline there. NFL gets everything they want. Cowboys get some home playoff games, maybe stay in the playoffs longer, and now we get this great first-round matchup. I believe the Rams are going to win that game.
They certainly could.
I think the Rams are the better team, and you put Stafford in a dome. He doesn't care about road or home, really. Kyron Williams has been running the ball really well. Now, the Lions' defense has been really solid against the run, and they've been horrific against the pass. Unfortunately for the Lions, they're playing the best pass offense in football right now, who's slinging it everywhere around the yard, and they have two of the best receivers in football. I don't see a path for them getting stops. I mean, maybe they, even Dallas, really, they should have put up more points. The CeeDee Lamb fumble inside the 1 yard line into the end zone, or they put up 27 points there. So it's like, they played a little bit better in the game, I guess. They got some stops, but they were kind of fortunate to how that game played out. To me, I like the Rams in this matchup, although I'm kind of going to be okay with whoever wins because I feel bad for Detroit fans. I'm not like I don't want to be actively rooting against Detroit. I was hoping Detroit got a better matchup. I wanted the Eagles to have to play the Rams somehow in the first round. That's not going to happen now. So, do you think the Rams actually pull the upset or do the Lions win?
I think it's you can toss a coin
flip.
Yeah, I think the Rams are playing better right now, but just with it being in Detroit and Detroit playing, the energy in there is going to be crazy for that. I mean, the first playoff game in like 100 years. So
yeah,
they'll be going crazy there, and it'll be a fun, as Dan Campbell's just going to fucking go for everything.
Real quick, we forgot to talk about it.
I mean, he's definitely just like it might be 4th and 2 from his own 12, and he might go for it.
I told you we were watching it.
Well, no, I knew he did that kind of stuff, but I didn't know like how crazy he was.
He's a nut.
And then like when they called that penalty on him, and he still left offense, I was like, I like this. This is like your dad. I have big cojones. You got little cojones. All right, he plays to win the game. But that's exactly. He's fucking crazy. Like, I told him we were going to go down there and score. We're going to win the game with 2-point conversion. He's like, so you didn't think about kicking that point? Told him we were going to go down there and win. It's like, he's a man of his convictions, I guess. He's like, yeah, going to do it.
They asked him, they were like, well, did you think about kicking the extra point after the penalty? He goes, what penalty? He goes, well, the one where it put it back to the 7-yard line. He's like, Dan or Jim, we were going for the win. We were going for the win.
We're going to win. I honestly believe that on that from the 2-yard line, this is how nuts he is. If they would have picked up a holding call and it was from the 12, he still would have fucking gone.
100%. What's crazy?
He honestly turns into. He's got the full blown. He's like one of my brothers. He's a lunatic that played linebacker, and I don't know what's. Happened to him from using his head as a battering ram for 15 years. Dan Campbell's in the same boat. And it's like, when he gets on something, it's like, this is what we're doing. It's like, that's what they're going to fucking do. And it's just, I think that he just gets so amped up and, there's no, talking him out of anything.
Right.
And, he's got the offensive coordinator who thinks he's God's gift to earth.
Yeah,
so,
he does.
He's going to want to go for it, too.
Yeah.
So, he's going to come up to him, and he's going to be like, hey, what do you think? He's like, oh, yeah, we should go. We're going to go for it and just go for the win. Yeah, no, he does all kinds of crazy shit. It'll be fun to watch him play the Rams because that'll be a fun game.
Interesting thing. I thought about this, so I went and looked back at the numbers, and you think about the fact that, Brandon Staley for the last 2 seasons really has been shit on for going for things like that. Here's my thing. It's funny when I understand it's a product of coaching as well, but whether the 4th down or the 2-point conversions, whether those work or not, if you're winning, it's kind of irrelevant. People might talk a little bit about Dan Campbell going for it, they shouldn't have gone for it, but he's not just getting destroyed in the media. If that was Brandon Staley and they lost the game, he would have gotten people would have been calling for his job.
Yeah, he would have been crucified.
Right. So it's just funny to me when I looked at it. Last year, Brandon Staley converted 51% of his 4th downs. Dan Campbell this year, 49% have converted. So it's like they're actually almost very similar. So it's not big of a difference.
Since the very beginning. Everybody was calling for Staley's head. I'm like, this is just what he does. He's playing the numbers. It's as simple as that. Now
he did some other stupid shit.
Yeah, they never fucking get it.
Right.
But I mean, it seemed that way. But I liked a lot of the stuff he did because you're not gonna win, especially when you don't have a great defense. He knows listen, going down here and kicking a field goal on 4th and 3 ain't gonna do us a lot of good. We got to score touchdowns.
Yeah.
And the whole obviously philosophy behind it is we're gonna get it 50, at least 50% of the time. And we're going to get an extra point with extra point, another point with extra point. So it's just straight analytics. That's
Right.
all they did. Now, Dan Campbell will go above and beyond the analytics and just do what the fuck he wants to do. Because the analytics would have told you to kick the fucking extra point there 100 times out of 100. You don't go for it from the 7-yard line.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
I mean, maybe on the 2, okay. Maybe on the third
No.
one, the 3. but-
I am completely fine with him going down there and scoring. I instantly knew they were going for 2, and
No, I said it. I said it when they were the 30-yard line. I go, they're going to go for 2 if they score.
100% they were going to go
we all
for 2.
knew. Everybody in the building knew it.
And they pretty much have that 3-seed lot, or whatever. It's pretty much locked up.
Here's the thing. I actually looked back, and they actually did have something to play for, because you think about how it played out. Because the Eagles lost, had Detroit won, they would have moved up to the 2 seed. They would have dodged the Rams and had to play the 7 seed. Plus, in that second round, they would have gotten the home game. Now they're going to have to go to Dallas if they win. So
they were playing for something. But Dan Campbell doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't care. He's not thinking about, if we lose this. He's thinking, I'm going for the win, and that's it. I'm going for the win. Dan, we were playing for the win.
As they say back in the day, Honey Badger don't care. He basically is the Honey Badger.
He takes what he wants.
That's right.
All right, real quick. I don't want to spend too much more time on the NFC, but real quick, just give me your pick. So do you think the Falcons? So the Falcons play the Saints the final week, but the Bucks get to play Carolina because the Bucks hold all the tiebreakers. If they win, the Bucks win the division. Does Carolina pull an upset here? It's in Carolina.
I don't
Do the Bucks
think so.
Bucks just win and get in?
Yeah, they were playing a little bit better, and then they played the Jags, who have been worthless, and the Jags freaking smoked them.
Welcome to the NFL.
Bethard. So yeah, no, I think the Bucks will win that game. They'll be fine.
I think so too. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. Carolina's not playing for much. I know they don't have their draft pick anyway, but they just haven't looked very good at all. Even against a bad Packers secondary, they still couldn't find a way to win a couple weeks ago when they had a tie game late. But let's move over to the AFC real quick. I know Big Dog's going to join us in a second, but I guess we'll just let him rant when he gets on here. So AFC teams, real quick.
Can't wait to hear what it. Oh, actually, he told me yesterday what it was going to be. He said that's going to be my rant. I don't know what it was. I forgot, but he
spouts a lot of shit out of his mouth that we don't really listen to. So, but
first of all, I always listen to Big Dog. Okay, he's the guru.
You listen to sound, and then you say, It's high up there at 80,000 feet, whatever he says.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, literally yesterday.
The air's thin.
The air's thin
up there
you said,
50,000
You said
feet.
it yesterday, and then I go, what? And you go, I didn't even hear what he said. I mean, literally.
You just gotta, dude, yesterday when you were gone, I gotta tell a quick story. You went to Whataburger with Jonathan. He's in the kitchen making something, giving his halftime speech. He's doing a halftime speech, and he keeps talking, and I think he thinks I'm hearing him, but the TV's on full blast in the media room, so I can't hear a thing. And he comes in, and he goes, "How's that halftime speech?" I go, "I missed it. The TV was loud." He was like, "It was fucking fantastic," or something like that.
Well,
he was given,
tell him to do his halftime speech when he comes in here. He was doing all night. He was doing his little karate chops like this to try to get
Elvis karate chops.
Karate chops so that to bring Texas back.
We'll definitely have him show you the Elvis. Actually, that's why they didn't win, because he wasn't doing his Elvis karate chops last
Jonathan tried to carry it on at the end, but we had Wolfie with us. Look, we pulled out all the stops, okay? Wolfie broke the Washington's leg. That was the other thing not that I want to go back, but Dylan Johnson, the running back for Washington's, probably going to be out for that game.
Oh,
it's a big loss.
Yeah, I feel bad. That was terrible. You knew that injury was really bad right away, because he just he knew that he had to get up and just knew that he couldn't get up. Yeah. Feel bad for that kid.
Yeah. But back to the NFL real quick. Let's talk quickly about the AFC. So, simple for the Jaguars. We'll start with the AFC South. Jaguars win at Tennessee. They're divisional champs. On the other side of the division, if the Jaguars lose, they will not be divisional champs, and they'll have to, it'll play out basically tiebreakers. They have a good chance.
Who are they playing again?
They're playing at Tennessee. If they lose, they will not be divisional champs.
That's basically a bye week, Bailey, at Tennessee. Go ahead.
I don't know. Tennessee.
No, honestly, that'll be a game that the fucking Titans will. They're gonna throw Malik Willis in there and win by a field goal.
Yeah, I know.
Something. Yeah.
No, Vrabel's definitely trying to fucking win that game. 100%. He is trying to win that game.
Vrabel's going to New England. You heard it here first.
Yeah, they are saying this is going to be Bill Belichick's last game with the Patriots, more than likely, and I think that's true. Which the Spurs.
Bob Kraft. The rumor is he went back in for another rub and tug, and he started talking to his confidant, and she leaked that Mike Vrabel will be the next Patriots coach.
Is that insider information?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I do agree with you. I think that's going to happen because I think he might be out of Tennessee, and I think Belichick's gone. Spurs should take a hint from that firing of or resigning of Bill Belichick and do the same thing to Pop. Put him out of his misery. Put us all out of our misery watching this 4-win fucking bum team anymore. We're tired of turning it on and saying, how long will it take us to blow the fucking 20-point lead? It's annoying.
I actually enjoy it.
I hate
the NBA.
Well, I enjoyed it when we were in the losing streak and had a chance to actually make history, but I don't enjoy it when we have no streak going and we're just losing now.
I'm actually just the only fun story in the NBA was the Pistons losing, and they finally won, and now there's
28 games, baby.
There's like nothing fun to even worry about, look at in the NBA anymore.
Hey, we got to tease. Football's over. We're gonna be depressed, but we got to tease some NBA stuff coming up soon.
I'm gonna start talking about fucking darts, like those videos I sent you.
We're gonna
be your South Texas dart podcast.
We're gonna do cornhole previews in here.
Now we're talking.
Real quick though. Okay, so Jaguars, Tennessee. Let's talk about that, and let's talk about the Colts, Texans. Even if the Jaguars win, that's still an elimination game because the loser will be out and the winner will at least get a wild card spot. That's the Sunday night game being the only, I think.
Saturday night.
I'm sorry, Saturday night.
Looking
That's
forward
the
to
only game where you have, I believe, like both teams playing and the winner's in and the loser's out. I believe the game is in Indianapolis.
But listen, Texans D's playing a little bit better. Indy's kind of tough to beat at home, but I think Garner Minshew is going to turn it over one too many times. I think the Texans are going to win the game. I'll say by a field goal. I think the game's going to come down to a field goal either way. No one's going to blow each other out in that game, I don't think. C.J. Stroud kind of got back on track this week, didn't he? I mean, they look pretty good.
He was better. He wasn't great, but he was good.
I didn't watch much of it, so.
Let's say the Texans do win. Are they going to be the divisional champs, or will the Jaguars beat Tennessee?
No, my Jaguars will hold on, beat the worthless Tennessee Titans. Doug Peterson, Super Bowl coach and author. I just had to say that because big dogs here. I don't even know what that really means. I know it means Super Bowl champ, but like the and author part always just cracks me up. He's like, he doesn't even I don't know. He wrote something apparently. I'm going to say book. Mike Leach, football coach and author.
Yeah,
he wrote a book about Geronimo. So
yeah, he also came up with a great way to kill ants. If you ever watched that thing, he took some.
Doug Peterson did?
No, Mike Leach. Mike Leach, the pirate. He used to go out and kill ants with coffee on his.
Dude, did you hear the best quote? I think I took a screenshot of it. He was talking about Texas A&M. Mike Leach was, and he was like, "Did you know that the Corps at A&M, they're not even real military? They just dress up, and it's something that they." This is what Mike Leach was saying. He goes, yeah, I've been thinking about it, and I'm going to ask the university next year if we can have our own pirate division. And they dress up in eye patches, and then by year 4, you get your sword with your eye patch, and we'll do pirate maneuvers. He said, walking the plank, learning how to battle from ship to ship. And anyway, he was fucking.
We got to have some sort of Mike Leach segment on this show in honor of him. He's a legend.
Yes, Mike.
All right, yeah, I actually think. Man, here's the thing. The C.J. Stroud just plays worse on the road. And I think the Texans are the better team. I don't know why. I just think somehow the Colts, like every time I think that they're dead, they find a way to win. This game is at home. I do think these are two leading candidates for Coach of the Year right now.
I think whoever wins it, I actually think whoever wins this game will get Coach of the Year.
I kind of agree.
Or Stefanski with the Browns.
I think actually Stefanski's done the best job.
Yeah.
But I think that you could get. I think you're probably right. It's between Stefanski and the winner of this game. But to me, I think DeMeco Ryans is an excellent coach. I think Steichen is an excellent coach. I think the Colts find a way to win a weird game just because. Yeah. And look, Minshew could go out there and throw 3 picks, and the Texans could win by 3 touchdowns. That wouldn't surprise me at all. It really wouldn't.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be.
I think it's going to be close.
A field goal either way.
I think the Colts
I'm picking the Texans really because I want the Texans to win.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, I have no idea, but I'm sure, the line's, Colts by 2 or something just I don't know. But it's got to be close to, a pick 'em
I'm sure it is. I'll pull up the line here in a second. But I will say the Jaguars, as I predicted, they're going to lose at Tennessee. Bailey, the Titans are going to get it done for you. And 100%. The Jags. Whoa.
What about the Titans? What are the Titans going to get done for him? They're better off fucking losing the game.
Look, Bailey, do you want them to win or lose? Thank you. He wants them to win. Of course he does. He's a true fan. He doesn't want them to lose.
Gross, Bailey. You're just costing yourself draft picks.
And the Titans will win. And Tannehill will throw for 3 touchdowns, okay, against that terrible Jaguars defense. Derrick Henry will run all over them. I said it from the beginning. The Jaguars will not win the division. I don't know if they'll get in the playoffs, but they're not winning the division. and I think they're going to lose that game and miss the
Is
playoffs.
Trevor coming back?
Does it matter?
They might be better off with Pastors.
That's what I think. I think they are. Real quick, 2 more quick scenarios, and then we'll get Big Dog in here before we get out of here. And Bailey, I know if you have to go, by all means. Okay. So real quick, Buffalo. Interesting scenario. We talked
Buffalo
about this.
Bills.
Your Buffalo Bills. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, though. And I said, look, I think the way it's going to play out is I think Buffalo is going to have a shot to play for the division. However, I think if they lose the game for the division, that they have a good chance of missing the playoffs. I don't think they're going to get in as a wild card. I think they either win the division or they get in, they don't make the playoffs at all. Because, as I talked about early in the year, they lose almost every tiebreaker. They've lost to all. They have no head-to-head tiebreaker over any of those AFC contenders for the wild card. And they have the worst conference record of all of them. So when it comes down to a wild card team, the first tiebreaker after head-to-head is conference record. So if you look at how it plays out, essentially, even if the Jaguars were to lose, if the Bills lose, I believe they would have the same record. Is that correct? Or the Jaguars have one more loss now?
I don't know. That's a good question.
But
I have to look that one up. I was about to look it up.
Regardless, if the Bengals and or the Steelers win, either of those teams would essentially have the tiebreaker over the Bills, and they would not get in. So the Bills would need some help, right?
Yeah.
If the Bills lose, they're not going to be a set wild card, right? Like they're going to need either one of Pittsburgh or Cincinnati to lose. Pittsburgh, both those teams. I think who does Pittsburgh have? Baltimore.
Yes, I believe so.
I think Pittsburgh has Baltimore. I probably should have looked this up.
And Baltimore is not playing for anything, right?
Exactly. Baltimore's either playing Cincinnati or So Pittsburgh plays the Ravens, and then I believe the Bengals have a similar game to that as well. They play the Browns, who are not playing for anything either. So both those teams are more likely to win. If that happens, the Jaguars are irrelevant whether they win or lose because the Bills will not get in, right, with a loss. Who wins that game? Does Miami find a way at home? Because what's crazy is Miami, after beating Dallas, had jumped up to the 2 seed. I think they still are the 2 seed. They lose this game, they're the 5. They're the 6 seed.
It's like it's like
5 or 6.
The Dallas Eagles situation.
Right.
Pretty much exactly. They'd go from 2 to 5, I think.
Yeah.
I got to stick with them just because I have the whole time to say the Bills are going to get in the playoffs. I don't. Man, if Stephon Diggs was playing well, I'd feel really good about it. He's just been a passenger on this team and done nothing. So I don't know. Patriots turned the ball over like 5 times. Bills played bad, find a way to win the game. But they could just as easily this game, Allen could start throwing it all over the yard and they could kill. Miami doesn't look good. So I'm gonna stick with the Bills and say they do it. I don't really know, but Tua looked pretty bad this week. So obviously it was against the Ravens.
Right.
Both they make everybody look bad, but
they do.
I think I'm going to stick with the Bills and say they get in.
Both teams have. I mean, I know it's the Bills have won 4 in a row, but neither team has looked that good the last couple weeks. I know the Patriots snuck one out against the Cowboys. It wasn't all that impressive of a win. Dallas fumbled on the 1-yard line the first drive. There was a couple things that bounced the Dolphins' way. They won the game, though, and nonetheless at home. But then last week they get obviously absolutely embarrassed by another good football team. Whenever Miami steps up in class, which that's what they're doing here, it does not go well. And then you look at the Bills, though. Like, this is why I have trouble picking this game. The Bills play the Chargers on the road with Easton Stick as quarterback and have to win on a game-winning field goal. The Patriots, like you said, turn the ball over 5 times, not in the game, in the first 17 minutes with like 12 or 13 minutes to go in the second quarter. Bailey Zappi threw his 4th pick.
Also ran the opening kickback, so they kind of it offsets at least one of those.
But I guess, but you still win the turnover battle by 5 and you win by 6 regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
They've played terrible.
Terrible.
I have a feeling they're going to end up winning. It's not like Miami. The thing about Miami, it's not like you're going into Arrowhead and trying to win. Okay, there's going to be a third of that stadium will be Bills fans, if not more. Miami's not a tough place to play.
Well, I will say this, though. This is interesting because I thought the same thing, and maybe this was just a dumb radio show, but I was listening to somebody a couple weeks ago talking about a preview of this game if it were to be for the division, and the Bills apparently hate playing in Miami. They claim Miami does shit like before they play them, where it's just like, no, literally, like the Bills never win in Miami. Like it's like a known thing. They always lose in Miami.
Well, that used to even be that used to be the Patriot. Now there's maybe a lot of factors in that.
Yeah.
Like depending on how early you get to Miami, what players are doing in Miami. I don't think it's more of a home crowd thing. I think it's more of trying to keep all players in hotel rooms type of deal.
That's a good point.
Yeah. It's like the Patriots when they used to be great. I think they lost something like 4 straight years in Miami when they were horrible to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with the crowd is very. It's not as bad as my university, the U games where no one shows up to Miami University games.
Right.
But it's not great for Dolphins. And sure, all the bandwagon Dolphin fans will be there this year in their, Miami snapbacks and their Dan Marino jerseys rooting on the team. But I don't know.
I got to pick the Dolphins because one of my boys, Michael Freitas, he's a fan of the podcast, watches the show. He's a big Michigan fan, and he's a big Miami fan. Go figure. I forgot to give him a shout-out on the Michigan portion of the podcast. So I'm rooting for you, Mike. I'm going with the Dolphins to win this game, even though I have made this adamantly true. I can't stand Tua. I think he's horrible. I think the Dolphins as a whole are kind of frauds, but I'm going to pick them to win the game because I've said all year I think the Bills are going to miss the playoffs, and I'm sticking to my guns. Just like I said, the Jaguars weren't going to win the division. We're going to be really right about those two things or be really, really wrong.
You got lucky with Michigan, Mike. You can't have the fucking Dolphins, too. Go Bills.
Yeah, they did. Michigan did sneak that one out, but they were the better
City of
football team.
Buffalo needs this. No one in Miami gives a shit.
Buffalo's had their chances.
Yeah, but they never fucking win. That's why they need it.
Yeah, that's true.
4 straight Super Bowls, man. You don't ever recover from that.
All right, let's get Big Dog in here real quick.
Yeah, fucking what the fuck is he at?
We'd like to welcome in our weekly guest. Big Dog is entering the building.
Here he is.
Boys and girls.
Blowing kisses to the camera.
The Texas Longhorns. He sat there.
Oh, man.
He sat there.
Fucking Elvis. Oh, yeah.
He sat,
almost brought him
Don't
back.
move the chair back, dude. You gotta scoot in there.
You're like Longhorn Elvis.
Oh, it's like Longhorn Elvis. Okay.
You cost us the game last night.
Where's
You
my water?
stopped doing your.
That's mine.
You
No,
don't,
I just drank
that's his.
Oh, where's my water, Bailey? You can have it.
Oh, no.
I almost snagged it.
That was a Vanderbilt quarterback throw. Short. No chance.
That was a Vandy quarterback throw. All right,
Let's go.
So it was your fault the Longhorns lost last
Nope.
night. I summoned Wolfie, the spirit of Wolfie, into the light, and she broke the Washington court player's leg and had the kid run into
Let's
the
go.
kicker, and they almost came back and won, but they didn't. And you can't sit here and act like you're a Longhorn fan. All night long, you were saying the Longhorns were going to lose, they're going to lose, they're going to lose, and you willed it into existence.
All right.
Go ahead and give your rant for the day.
Okay, number one, everything, and I ran through Bailey with this, everything that I said about the Longhorns was correct on the pregame thing. Now, even Bailey says you need to save that in your rant. Because listen to me, Bailey even told me, yeah, you did. Prove every point. Said the coach, outcoached.
You were accurate on your prediction. You were wrong. You were wrong on Michigan.
Quarterbacking, I picked the other quarterback, out quarterback. In any game,
You're
out
right.
physical. I said their linebackers are pretty damn good, and their cover guys, they're the worst. You're doing analytics. I'm looking at watching them against Oregon, an actual fast offensive team. Quinn Ewers is the worst quarterback. And today in Sports Talk, I'll make it short, they're saying even Conley, he's a good quarterback. He's really good.
Who?
And Jason Mack.
No, what quarterback?
Quinn. He's saying, like, yeah, he played pretty well. That last series, the last time, can you believe it? Then they get the guys like this morning that are breaking down his throws, Dan Orlowski, saying, no, you don't throw the ball up there. You throw a fast, quick ball inside to the receiver so he can come back in the end zone and get it. Horrible pass. And Sark sits there and defends this kid every single time. Number one, they need to get rid of him. Number two, hopefully he goes pro. He's not going to get drafted. For third round, second round, that's it.
He's not going to get drafted, but he's going to get drafted in the second round.
I mean,
what does that
first
mean?
round. He thinks he's going late first round. He's out of his mind. I hope he goes. Him and Sark are the kiss of death for Texas. And wait till next year. Good God. So
he's like a fifth
look,
round pick at best.
I employed a bunch of kids to make this jacket. No, to make this jacket, and I'm hopefully I can wear this jacket
Quit
next
nodding
year.
your head over there.
Next year, and I put a lot of young children to work. Now,
okay, enough.
Now, back to my rant. I'm done with that. Halftime speech should have been, you go in there and you grab your cojones and you act like I would, Chris Leak, and you go out there and show some fucking heart on the field. We looked dead. And I said, you do what I would do. what would I do in this situation? What would I do? I'd grab him. I'd get out there and slobber knock some motherfucker clear to the ends earth. I swear to you, we looked like a bunch of wussies out there in the second half. They had one series of defense where they got all excited because they blitzed. Blitz! Everyone broke it down this morning. What an idiot. He never blitzed him. One time, one series he does, the guy's throwing the ball, waffle balls all over the field. Unreal. Their staff, defensive coordinator needs to go. Sark he'll be done in 2 years. 2 years, he'll be out.
No, he won't.
2 years. Not 2 years. And I told you again, last prediction, I'm almost done. Jim Harbaugh, I said it all on every podcast, he's leaving. No, he's not. The NCAA, he's gone.
We said if he wins, he's going.
No, I did not say that. I said
leaving. We both said if he wins, he's out.
You didn't say that. Review what you said. He's not going anywhere.
Oh, I definitely said if he wins.
We both said it.
You did.
No, we both said on the podcast.
No, you said he's not going anywhere.
Turner, did I say if they win, he's going?
Yeah,
Probably.
now.
Thank
but
you.
back when I was saying it.
No, I said
4,
it
5, 7,
3 weeks
6,
ago.
7
Your
weeks
dad was
ago.
ahead of the fucking train.
Ahead of it.
Dog,
I think
way
he might have
ahead.
said it
Now,
2
Big
weeks
Dog
ago.
is on a roll now. Almost done. Last night, and the good thing I will say about us is that we do watch a lot of sports together in my 5 TV Vegas trial room, and I want a photo shown of my TV room that I built.
Oh, speaking of, we were promised steaks tonight.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can eat
are we
steaks.
going to
I'm eating
Roadhouse?
steaks tonight.
All right.
Yes.
So, well, if you're in there at the time I want, I'm not standing outside in the cold to wait for steaks. If you wait for the cold,
We'll go put our name
Yeah.
down and we'll
Thank
call
you.
you.
And
in.
I
What time
come
are we
in.
going?
like 5.
All right, 5 o'clock.
Here we go.
It's 2:30.
Well, whatever. I got to work here. I got to make some cash. So real quick, bottom line. So I'm on fire on every prediction, as well as
Except your quarterbacks.
and Dallas is not going to have a ferry ride through Washington this weekend. Guarantee
Oh, dear
you.
Lord.
That's another one I'm going to predict. Okay, so let's get to our
Please.
Are
picks.
you
Let's
saying
quickly. We got to
Sammy-
go.
You saying Sammy's going to come out strong this week?
Sammy's a beast. So my point here is, and by the way, but we do watch sports together, so it's good. So we're not some bullshit people that don't watch the sports teams together. So you saw me last night, Elvis chopping. I got my Elvis moves going. I had the
Give the
spit-
people a couple more chops. Then you see
It's
it.
like
yeah.
a chop move.
Yes,
and you can
it's like
exercise while you're fucking doing it.
Yeah.
All right.
But you never gave. You said Turner told me when we went to go get Whataburger last night at halftime that you gave a halftime speech.
In the
What was
kitchen,
did.
I just couldn't
I
hear
said,
it.
What
like-
was it?
It's
What
about
was the halftime?
grabbing your 6-pack. I got a 6-pack, and it was about getting tattooed, like basically grabbing your 6-pack of you know what,
Your cajon.
getting on that field and showing what Chris Leak would do. That's I said, what would your halftime speech? Mine would be like, can you do what I would do? Do you want to fucking go home? Do you want to go home? I would have said that. Or you want to go out there and win? They are beating the shit out of you in all facets. I would say, grab them and get your ass out there.
I know
That's
you. I know you threw a fit too when you saw like there was some commercial with Molly McGrath and you
Oh
were not
gosh,
happy.
please. She's like, that. I'm sorry, please. I'll take, what's her name? What's the one I like? The only one?
Aaron Andrews.
Aaron Andrews. She can do a game. Other than that, get the rest of them out of there.
Molly McGrath is good. I like Molly McGrath.
No, she's not.
I like Molly McGrath.
Sideline reporters, please. She's good at what?
I'm a Michelle.
It's saying, I
I'm
talked
a
to Nick
Michelle
and
Tafoya fan.
I talked to Nick, and Nick says, here, Nick, what did you do tonight? How did you feel tonight? Well, we didn't do that good. I was like, well, how do you feel about that? Oh, give me a break. Right, dumb as.
By the way, if we're going to talk about correct predictions, you picked Alabama. I picked
I
Michigan.
did pick Alabama. They're one play from in the
No,
play,
Mr. Last night. Oh, all he does is say if they're one play away.
Well-
You're doing the same thing right now, aren't you?
Stat smash.
That's schmats, baby.
but
That's
what-
right.
all I'm gonna say
They
about-
got outgained. They got beat the whole game.
Yeah.
They were the better team. They won.
Really? Because I want to tell you one thing. Y'all joked about how good that quarterback is for Michigan. I've said all year long how crappy this kid is.
He won offensive MVP.
Oh, yeah, good. The guy sucked last night. He's a weakling. He's a bum. And you know what? They're meditating at this. He meditates now because he meditates. Let me tell you something. I know meditation. That doesn't do any good. Just take a fucking Xanax, okay, before you start the game. The bottom line is meditation.
Jesus.
It's quicker. You just get right
Hey,
to meditation.
question.
That's how that works.
You are
All right.
picking Washington, right?
I'm picking Washington.
Oh, you're an idiot.
The quarterback's better. Now that's it. Washington's my pick. Let's quickly
Hold
go
on,
through
hold
the
on.
picks. I got to roll.
Okay, but real quick, who played better in the Michigan game at quarterback, McCarthy or Milroe?
Milroe.
McCarthy.
Oh my God, dude!
Milroe.
Are you
McCarthy.
kidding me?
Milroe's a better quarterback.
You got no. Who played better? No, he's not. Who played better in the game? Milroe was 16 of 23 for 116 yards and a fumble. J.J. McCarthy, 17 to 27, 221 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks.
Never saw anything good out of him last night that I don't like.
Oh, but Milroe played good with his 100 yards passing and fumble. Yeah, he's real good.
I just think, in my case, I'd rather have a guy like Jalen Hurts on the
You're
field.
not answering the question. Who got outplayed last night?
Maybe last night the Michigan quarterback played
got
better.
outplayed.
No, he didn't outplay because he was horrible in the second half, except for the last series.
Milroe, QBR,
It's like
45.
you can say about Quinn. He's good until the last series. He did good.
Hey, Jalen Milroe, QBR, 45.1. J.J. McCarthy, 91.9.
Stat smash. Okay.
All right.
Let's go.
Yeah, we can't look at
Hurry
logic.
up.
We gotta just do the eye test so that you
Picks.
can just make shit up.
I'm going to predict the picks.
All right.
Hold on.
Saturday, we have a game
Go.
must win for the Steelers. Steelers at the Ravens. Ravens have nothing to play for.
Ravens.
Steelers. Ravens will pull everybody in the second half.
No, they're still going to win. Go ahead.
I need 1 touchdown from Lamar to go over his touchdown total.
He's not going to play.
I need 1 passing touchdown from Lamar.
No, he actually is going to play. I heard he's going to play. Let's go next.
I think he's going to play the first
boy,
half.
I'm wearing the jersey next
I
week.
hope so for your
I'm
sake.
wearing the jersey next week because I picked him. Let's go.
I just think
I forgot Lamar's your boy.
he's right there.
Yeah, and I got a jersey 7 weeks ago. Let's go next one.
Real quick, I think Lamar will play only because they have. How
Okay.
many teams want to sit out a whole week and you have the whole? It'll be 2 weeks straight off.
Also, I got to get some off my chest. After last week, me and Dylan would like to apologize to the black delegation. Lamar Jackson is the MVP of the league now.
Thank you.
It's not even close.
He is going to win the MVP, but I just think the entirety of the season he's still not that
I already
great. He
picked
just
him.
had
No,
Let's
one.
I
go.
mean he's going to win it. It's
No,
not even
he
close
is gonna
now.
win.
After
Another quarterback
yeah,
that
but
I
after
picked.
5 TDs passing, I mean,
I know. I'm saying he's going to win 100%, but it's like
And I
two
mean, I
good
knew he was
games.
going to win too, but it's just one of those things where, like,
All right.
now he has to
Bailey,
win
you
because there's
switching the
nobody.
cameras over there, you're
Purdy
just
was
grazing
horrible,
off.
and McCaffrey just sat out another half.
I'm
I
not.
don't know.
I really didn't ever think he was. I thought
All
he
right.
was going to win. I just
Okay.
don't think quiet. I just don't think that he deserves to win. All right,
Next
moving
one.
on.
We're not talking about that right now.
This is how podcasts work, dude.
No,
We don't,
I don't-
you went off to talk about your Elvis karate chops and
No.
your halftime
That's
speech for 10
pertinent.
minutes.
That's pertinent to them winning last night. Go
All right,
ahead.
shut your mouth.
It really was.
All right, Saturday night game, elimination game. Winners in, losers out. Texans at the Colts. We've already kind of picked this game.
I'm going to say the Colts win that game.
I picked the Colts as well.
Say Texans.
Yeah.
That's
All
what
right.
I'm rooting for.
Moving on to Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going to go Texans. I'm going to change because I want the Texans to win. Next
If
one.
I pick it, he'll switch to the
No,
other
I just
team.
like that. Go ahead.
Okay, noon games. If they're irrelevant, I'll skip them, but most of these are relevant. Browns at the Bengals. Bengals have to win to have a shot to get in. Browns are pretty much, I think they might be able to move down one spot, but I think they're locked into at least the 6th seed, if not the 5.
Irrelevant game. They're neither, I mean, the Browns are getting in. The Bengals aren't.
Well, the
Next.
Browns are already locked up. Who'd you
Browns. Oh, the Browns are locked
I'll
up?
take the Bengals.
pick? Yeah, I'm taking the Bengals.
Browns.
Okay, you take the Browns, I take the Bengals. Okay, Vikings at the Lions. Lions are pretty much locked into the 3 seed. Vikings have to win to have any shot.
Lions. Go ahead.
So the Lions really aren't playing for anything at all?
Well, they are, because if they win and Dallas and Philly both lose, they could technically
Yeah,
jump to the 2 seed. So they're favored by 3, even with the.
Yeah, I'll take Detroit.
It's in Detroit. I'm going to take Detroit as well.
Next one.
Jaguars at the Titans. Jags win. They are the AFC South champs. If they lose, they could miss the playoffs.
Trevor. Jags.
Our boys. Jaguars.
Jag Peterson.
Bailey,
And
Tennessee
Arthur.
Titans, baby. Tennessee Titans.
Let's
Ryan
go.
Tannehill gets it done.
They're horrible. That
All right.
sucks. Inbreds over
We're going
there
to
in
skip
Tennessee.
Jets Patriots because that's irrelevant. Falcons Saints. Loser is 100% out. Winner has a chance to still win the division.
Falcons at Saints.
Falcons at the Saints. Saints
Saints.
favored by 3.
Saints. Move on.
Saints.
Saints by
Saints.
10.
Yeah, those are dumb
Uh,
ones.
Buccaneers at the Panthers. Bucks win. They're the
Bucks
division
are
champs.
winning the game.
Bucks by 14.
Yeah.
Bucks are only a 5.5
They'll
point favorite
win
in that
yeah.
game.
Bet your house on that one. Next one.
Bet your house on that
Yeah,
one.
your D.
Okay.
Let's go.
Here we go. Bears at the Packers. Packers win. They are in. And the Bears have a chance to spoil. Actually, the
Packers.
Bears do have an outside chance. It would take like 5 losses from other teams.
I'd
but
love
to
the
get
Bears to win this game because I don't want to play the Packers if we happen to beat Washington.
They're so
Oh
bad.
my God, that's another one. Let's go on record right now. I'm picking the Packers to make a
he
little
will
bit of a.
say that about
if
any
they play
team.
the Cowboys, that's going to be a damn good game.
Who will win it?
Go on record. It's going to be a good game.
Who will win it?
He's going to pick the Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Okay, so you can't go back and pick the Packers now.
No, but I'm saying I don't want to play them. Number one, I'm almost done. Bears. I want them to win, so I'm going to go for Bears. Go.
The Bears are going to win by a field goal.
Okay, go.
Bears are going to win as well. Okay, Broncos and Raiders are both eliminated, so we'll
Well
skip that
done.
one. Eagles Giants is pertinent because the Eagles need to win to have a shot to
I'm
still win
picking
the
the
division.
Giants in that game.
Eagles in a tight one.
Yeah, I was going to pick the
Eagles
Giants.
by 3.
Yeah, I was going to pick the Giants if the Cardinals didn't
right.
beat them this week, but with that loss, I'll pick the Eagles. I think the Eagles actually play well this
Next
week.
one.
Seahawks at the Cardinals. Seahawks have to win to stay alive, and they also need some help from the Packers.
Cardinals.
Seahawks by a field goal. Close game.
Cardinals.
Yeah, Seahawks are going to win a very tight game.
Cardinals running everybody. Let's go.
All right, Chiefs at the Chargers. It is somewhat relevant for playoff standings, but I think the Chiefs are probably going to be the 3 seed regardless. Actually, they might be locked into the 3 seed.
Chiefs at where?
At the Chargers.
Chiefs.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Chiefs. We've got okay, they must be locked into the 3 seed because the Chargers are favored.
Keep going.
Rams at the 49ers. 49ers have nothing to play for. Rams, I don't think have anything to play for either.
49ers.
It's in
If
San
neither
Fran.
team has anything to play for, I'll go San Fran.
All right.
I'm gonna say the Rams only because I think the Rams will play their guys the whole game, and I think San Fran will play them only half the game. Last game, and this could legitimately be for the Buffalo Bills come Sunday night. A win,
Where are they playing?
A win, and you're the 2 seed, and a lose, you're out of the playoffs if things play out and against them. And they're playing in Miami against the Dolphins. Buffalo sits a 3-point favorite on the road.
Yeah, I think the Miami's going to win that game, but I'm going with Josh. I'm going with the Bills.
Buffalo by a last-second field goal to win it.
I don't love the pick, but I'm going to take Miami in this one. Buffalo has trouble in Miami, as I mentioned earlier. I don't like Tua. If Waddle doesn't play, it's going to be tough, but I think some way, somehow, Miami finds a way to win. I've been saying the Bills are fraudulent all year. I got to stick to it.
This is my last take. We're done with that because I'm controlling this fucking show this time. Big Dog's controlling the show today.
Did your wife tell you were kicked off the show a couple of days ago?
Number two.
First of all, no one kicks
no
Big
one,
Dog
no
on the
one.
show.
My wife.
If Big Dog wants to eat some fried shrimp on a Tuesday, Big Dog
hell
goes
yeah, I'm
eat
gonna
fried
eat some
shrimp.
fried. So I'm supposed to eat fried food. I'm gonna eat more fried food this week just to spite that. The
that
stupid,
what?
Nothing.
That's right.
I said, that rule.
That's
that
right.
rule. I was going to say that rule.
Oh, okay.
That rule.
Yeah, you better
Jesus.
stop yourself.
So
Lord
real quick.
have mercy.
So real quick. Number one,
Don't talk about my mom that way.
I'm ending this way. I've said it all along, and O'Connor's the proof of this. You run the ball come December, you win in the playoffs. So what I'm going to say is simple. Texas didn't run the ball well with that little 23 wimp ass
Jaden Blue.
But a joke.
Well,
Then he pulls number 4 out because he
so
fumbled
stupid.
the ball one time and puts a kid in who we would have won the game if the kid wouldn't have fumbled the ball. It's incredible. Anyway, run the ball in December. So my theory is Dallas doesn't run the ball. They're out first game, second game. If you don't run the ball 35 to 40 times, you're out in the playoffs. So whoever does it wins. Bottom line. So again, I'm right in December.
35,
and I'm right.
40 times?
Well, 25
what
to
is
30
this,
times.
fucking Emmitt Smith
No, you
Cowboys
guys,
in the
absolutely.
90s?
Like Jimmy. Next week, I'm going to talk about Jerry and Jimmy.
All right.
I know all about that thing back then. So my point is this. Just Cowboys are in big trouble not running the ball. Huge trouble. Same with Texas last night. You had to run the ball. Ewers, like I said yesterday, he's going to come out slow. He's going to come out nervous. He didn't come out just nervous. He came out nervous the entire game. Could not even throw the ball. That's why you should run it. Sark's game plan, his game plan, Mike McCarthy's game plan will cost you. Look at the Cardinals. They went in there and whipped the Eagles' ass running the ball. That's what you do. Dallas should have gone out and got a big physical back. They didn't. Same with Texas. If I'm going to go scout and get in the Learjet, and I'll go with Steve. We'll go visit some clubs. We'll take some dudes out, and I guarantee I'll pick a big, fast running back to come over to Texas. That's what you need.
I don't think your wife would let you go on the trip.
Yeah, I'll go. All right, that's it for me.
Real quick, hold on. We're
Hurry
done.
up.
We're done. But let me, real quick, before we get out of here, just want to say we had our jersey winners. I already told them. We have Michael and Owen, both from San Antonio. I ended up giving 2 away because I got a 2-for-1 deal on the website. And then shout out real quick one more time to Brad Zito.
Brad's great.
Brad's great. We love Brad over here. He's one of our favorite guys. And Brad gave
Best
me
sandwich ever.
best sandwich ever, obviously.
Eating that sandwich in the 70s, maybe? The 70s. I think they were on Nacogdoches Road.
Yeah, it's the best sandwich in San Antonio. All their food is great.
You're aging yourself, big dog.
It's
You
all
don't
right.
look a day over
I don't
40.
look a day over 40. What the fuck does it matter?
We love Zito's. Brad is a badass, but Brad also gave me an extra $25 gift card to give away with our jersey.
All right,
so
I'll
I picked
take
an
that.
extra.
I'll
No,
take it.
you don't get that. I
Yeah,
picked
it's
an
for
extra.
me for being on the show. I get paid. I get $500 an hour to work in the studio. Why the hell am I not getting paid?
I picked another winner for that, and I gave Josh Benitez, who was a classmate of ours, who's a
love
podcast
Josh.
follower.
I love Josh.
I love Josh.
Shout out Josh.
Shout out Josh. Went to school with Turner and I. So Josh won that $25 Zito's gift card. Go ahead, guys. If you on YouTube, just comment on there, and I'll message me directly, and I'll send you that stuff via mail. The jerseys are on the way. But thank you guys for tuning into our podcast episode 14 in the books. Subscribe, like, comment, support our podcast. Follow me on social media and the podcast at SlobPod, at DylanLake21 on TikTok. We'll have it at the bottom. Hit that subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy NFL Week 18, and we'll see you next Monday to preview or maybe break down on Tuesday the college football national
next
title.
week I'm taking a break.
Big Dog will be here to break down every game.
Yeah, he'll be here. He owed us 45 minutes, and he gave us like 9 minutes.
Wait till you get to the NBA, how fucking good I am at that.
Oh, shit.
Turner's not looking forward to the NBA, all right?
NBA, no, he's not, but I will.
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking
He
nail
knows
the
ball. Hold on. Spurs MVP camp. What was it? Year MVP.
77.
77 MVP.
76 and 77.
He couldn't even dribble the fucking ball.
77. I'll go shoot. I'm going to take
you
some
have
video of
the
me shooting the
fucking
ball. I'll shoot the ball left-handed and right-handed. I have the trophy, the award, and the photo.
And a squat spinner.
I played in a state tournament. He played intramural basketball.
Yeah, I played on
Dylan.
7 leagues, 32
He was
points
focused
a game.
on making music.
No, I was
Please.
playing in 6 leagues.
I'm talking about at 18.
I was
at 18. I was already making
all
cash.
state tournament, and you were playing in intramural
18,
leagues.
I had a potato chip company, Charles Chips. At 15 years old, I bought a franchise. My first company I bought at 15. At 15, I was out making money, playing gigs by 11. But 15, making cash.
And it
then
all
I had a
started-
lawn
it all
business
start-
that had real estate contracts.
It all started with that Sears catalog.
I have contracts. I had lawn contracts as a 15-year-old.
Small.
Oh, no, Big Dog.
Big dog. Come
All
on,
right.
dude.
Let's get me a regular chair.